r/TooAfraidToAsk. What qualities does a healthy family have that a toxic family considers abnormal? Taking no for an answer. From what I heard, it's respect, seeing family every week, being with our own family too much, and being happy all the time. Each child having a safe space, a place they can freely express their emotions and thoughts. I grew up never knowing what safety felt like, and I have a difficult time identifying safety as an adult. This has resulted in a crippling social anxiety disorder and a permanent distrust of everyone I've ever met. Love without exception, or expectation. Lack of discipline. Responsibility for your own actions. Both parents. The ability to share feelings without repercussion. Adults apologizing to children when they're wrong. Growing up, the idea of using time out was laughable. Like, if you don't hit your child to make them stfuim not a parent. But I've had a change of heart after realizing issues with my family after growing up. Lol. Asking how your day is. Expressing of love and proudness towards their kids. Being there for the kids when they need it. The ability to disagree civilly, and boundaries. The ability to have a discussion and to see new viewpoints or concede viewpoints. Boundaries. My brother-in-law doesn't understand when I enforce mine. He still thinks he is allowed to do or say anything without consequence. His whole family's the same. When I stand up to them, they crumble because they aren't used to being challenged. It's pretty sad. I feel more compassion for them as I get older. Seeing each other as people instead of just in roles. Easy example is parent. Allow kids to express feelings and don't get angry when kid doesn't agree with them or immediately do what they say like a robot. Harder example. Kids who understand that parents also have feelings, needs, and don't do everything right all the time. Hanging out with each other just for fun. When I found out my friends and their parents, siblings do things together for quality time or fun, I was flabbergasted. Truthfulness. There is no room for truth in a toxic family. Toxic family be like making their children a retirement plan and expecting them to pay all their debts. And will be mad you don't. Human touch. Kids doing as they're told without having to yell and scream. I was at a point in my life where I definitely could have been a better parent. I was abusing ice and weed. But I never yelled and screamed at my kids. I would explain things to them. I had a friend over one day and she brought her kids over to play and she was always bitching to me how naughty they were. Anyway, her 3 kids and my 2 were playing up and were in my friend's car. I went out and pointed back to the house and my kids got out and went to play out the back. She stood there yelling and abusing her kids in the street. She came in and asked me why my kids did as they were told, and I simply said, because I treat them like humans who deserve respect. She told me she would respect her kids when they showed her respect. She couldn't fathom that they needed to see it first. I've been clean for 4 years now and last I heard was that this person had given the kids to their dads. So hopefully they are safe there. Not hitting each other. The ability to express your feelings. Kids questioning their parents. Being able to talk about good things in any detail. In a genuine way. I grew up saying yeah, life's good. Blah blah blah. But why? If I was pressed for an answer I wouldn't have been able to give one. People that can't elaborate on a good, are not good. Or emotionally disconnected. Treating people with respect being the expectation. Everyone in my family acts like you owe them the world when they treat you with basic kindness. Things like not making fun of your insecurities is normal in a healthy family. But a huge favor you'll never repay them for in a toxic one. Genuine affection between parents. Parents not putting their kids in between their arguments and forcing them to take sides. Not telling your kids you didn't really want them, detest them and claim that their kids are holding them back. Not gaslighting your kids. and not yelling all time. Other would be having dinner as a family and kids genuinely wanting to hang out with parents. My friend's family used to have dinners as a family and I was so confused as to why would they want that lol. Other than that, parents showing genuine interest in their kids' life, especially with grades in celebrating good grades. Mutual respect. My wife's family, when we leave the guys shake hands, we give the gals a hug and a peck on the cheek. I got up from dinner with my family one time and forgot where I was. Shook my brother's hands, gave my mom and sister a hug and a kiss and stepped out of the room. Towards the door, they all looked at each other and said, "What the hell was that?" Not considering almost everything left out of free for all. Stepmom used my nail file on her toes. Clear and open communication. I said, "I just wish you had asked first." Taking accountability for one's actions. Get screamed at for being rude. Children not living in fear of their parents. I have CPTSD and did from growing up with this. Not using love, family as an excuse to ignore bad behavior. We may have our differences, but we do know that we love each other. And we're a family and we are all we have in this world. My dad paraphrased. I'm so tired, y'all. Honest, compassionate, vulnerable communication. Not every mistake or disagreement leads to a fight. Shouting is highly unusual or just not done. Source. My girlfriend. Getting to know each other. It's fun. Kids are interesting, parents are too. Healthy communication. Listening to their children and those younger than them. Acknowledging the answer no and respecting autonomy and decisions. Honors freedom, uniqueness, and individuality. Must I go on? Being able to actually relax. This comes from A. Not being constantly on edge about how people will react, what mood they are in, planning how to present something safely, etc. And B. Not being constantly told that resting is laziness and if you see someone doing something you must help. Being able to live your own life. Conversations. Seriously. My dad is a verbally abusive narcissist and there are no conversations because he doesn't listen in. Talks only about himself. It's sad. It's genuine affection that does not contain undertones of obligation or guilt. Actually enjoying time spent together as a family. My sister and I saw our parents casually kiss each other goodbye once and were shocked. And a little creeped out tbh. Because we couldn't remember the last time they had done that. It had literally been years since I had seen my parents express any affection for each other. Haven't seen them do that since either. But they're still married. Empathy. How would I know? Privacy. Closed doors being okay. Disagreeing with parents being okay. No biting sarcasm. Non-transactional favors. Many narcissists and abusers expect some form of payment. This can be financial, emotional, sexual, literally anything. Whenever they help another family member out. When victims of that environment break the cycle, they struggle to ask for help because they're worried about the debt they'll incur. Not being condescending. Having heated arguments. It blew my ex's mind the first time a heated argument broke out. It just happened. The two parties had it out. And then we ate dinner. She couldn't believe how casual it was. Like, yeah, no one is walking on eggshells. And we know how to let grudges go. Everyone still wishes everyone well. I always find it very, very odd when I see families that actually enjoy spending time together are families that are affectionate or loving and supportive to each other. It always trips me out when my friends do things with their parents or siblings. I don't come from a family like that. Respecting boundaries. Open communication. Not living vicariously through your children. Saying I love you. Apologizing when you are wrong. I have never understood why people think apologizing makes you weak. I think the person who can't realize that they are wrong, feel bad about it and apologize to be the ones who are emotionally and mentally weak. Actual discussions between people having a conflict and trying to come to an understanding of the perspective of someone other than yourself. And that your own personal experiences are not the apex summation of knowledge in the world. I've spent so much time putting myself into the shoes of people who do not care for me, that I no longer fit into my own kindness. I would love to know how many healthy families actually exist. Sadly, I can't think of any families in my immediate circle of life that aren't toxic in one way or another. I do have hope that there are families out there in the world that are healthy and happy. There's no spiteful competition or toxic comparisons. No constant negativity and mood swings. There's no undermining and no blaming. Boundaries are respected and not crossed. Also, all conversations don't feel like lectures or a set of instructions. The child doesn't feel like they are worthless pets to the parents. The parental relationship stops feeling like family and starts feeling like a manager-employee relationship with rules and passive-aggressive digs. A capacity to see each other as separate individuals with different opinions and to respect those differences. Trust and priorities provide freedom to go places. Humility and respect of environmentalist and intelligent work. Individuality and that other people will have different places in society and different studies. Locking your bedroom door and not being yelled at for it. Not flinching every time you hear footsteps walking normally instead of tiptoeing in the kitchen. Having a conversation for fun with your parent. Actually asking your parents when you want to do something because the answer to any question is not an immediate no. Communicating your feelings when someone has been accidentally hurt instead of victim blaming. Taking mental health seriously. Trust. Doing things for each other with no strings attached. Appreciating people for who they genuinely are rather than your idea of them. Actually wanting to spend time with family members voluntarily. Or when someone says they talk to their mom every day and they seem to not mind. Double standards. Allowing family to disrespect you and saying it's okay because it's family. Not respecting boundaries. Including walking in on you naked when you are an in-law. Telling you to get over things they themselves are clearly struggling with. Lastly, the fake I love yous. Never understood how you can tell someone that you love them and then literally do everything to destroy your siblings' lives. Mind-boggling. Dinner together as whole family. You feel happy and safe with them. Home is where your heart is. You trust them. If you are ever in trouble or made a mistake, you can talk to your parents without fear. Everyone apologizes when appropriate. Apologies don't always flow in one direction. Your parents don't strictly control where you are, who you hang out with, etc. There isn't an expectation of respect no matter what. Simply because you are related by blood. Respect, trust are earned. Compassion for their boys expressing their emotions. Comforting someone when they're sad. No one in my family does that. Everyone just has their moments alone in private. It's weird to me when I say parents comfort their kids and listen to their problems instead of making them feel stupid or like their problems aren't big enough to be upset about. Talking without ending in an argument basically every single time. Self-confidence is a big one. Both my and my wife's family were extremely toxic. My parents got better. Hers did not. They treat her brother like he's the goddamn savior of humanity and treat her and our kids like they're a burden. When I had enough of the bullshit and told them that we weren't playing their bullshit, out came the guilt trips. Fuck, now I'm mad just thinking about them. I just want to say, great question! Exclamation mark. I'm sorry. Uncomfortable conversations. They were immediately shut down in my household, but they're important. Trust. Toxic families are suspicious of everything everyone does. Hugging, cuddling, Healthy families do this with their children, siblings, parents, etc. No problem, but for a toxic family, this can easily be misconstrued as incest, sexual respect of others' boundaries. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Don't know their use lol, but I'm grateful. Please never let others step into your boundaries. There doesn't always have to be a winner and a loser in every disagreement. And all disagreements don't have to become arguments. Not sure why this question doesn't have more upvotes. But I agree with what most posters are saying about respecting boundaries. Working together to find solutions to problems rather than to prove you're right. Being happy. Apologizing to your children when you were wrong will not make them lose respect for you. Not apologizing when you're wrong will cause them to lose respect for you. Not using anything you tell them against you. Saying I love you. Openly discussing what's happening in the world. Asking for feedback. Love that is not conditional upon your sexuality or religious beliefs. Full acceptance and love of who each person is simply for existing. Knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses so you can support one another. Encouraging each other to grow and try new things. Respecting boundaries. Enjoying time with one another. Edit to add. Feeling safe to express emotions, emotional intelligence. Privacy, independence, non-violence, no yelling. Supporting their child with what hobby they have even if they don't like with it and not actively trying to destroy it. I know from experience as my father deleted a crossover fanfic I was writing that I was putting my heart and soul into for 3 months. The fanfic was honestly a wholesome one. None of the gross stuff. Vulnerability. The parents don't openly mock or laugh at their child. Especially not in front of other people. Also, the parent is able to use a communication style other than screaming to get their point across to their child. Sitting down and eating dinner together at a dinner table. Or family nights, movies or board games. Sharing your thoughts or a secret without being judged or starting a fight. When I was a child like 8 I told my mom I liked someone and I was shame-talked and grounded. Another time when my first period happened she called her friend like a minute after I told her. Never shared a secret or my real thoughts with my mom. Communication. Particularly with young teenagers. And validating emotions and experiences. Not needing to provoke chaos or drama. Just being comfortable and enjoying one another's company. Actually wanting to get together at holidays. Weekly family time. I.e. we eat out on this day. Game nights. Family vacations. A lovely wedding in the family that runs smoothly. Pretty much any interaction where family members genuinely like to be around each other and rarely butt heads. My college roommate's family was like this and so was her boyfriend's. I am a social capable person. But I had no idea how to function within that for long periods of time. Gosh. Another strong one is when siblings actually love each other and want to spend time together and talk together. Missed the lottery on that one. An understanding of, and a respect for, personal boundaries and personal preferences. Having a relationship with your parents where you can actually talk to them and they won't judge you or punish you for being a normal person. Not screaming and calling names. Actually enjoying one another's company. Cleanliness. I've worked with 1,000s of troubled kids and done just as many home visits. One of the sure signs of children growing up in toxic environments is the condition of the home. Neglected and abused children are often forced to spend hours cleaning their rooms while the kitchen, living room, etc. are too disgusting to even sit down. The things I find most interesting is this spans income levels. I've been in rich people's houses that should be condemned, and I've also been in an 3-room apartment shared by 9 family members that was spotless, warm and inviting even while dealing with an autistic toddler. Children, literal or adult, Not having the burden of acting as direct reflections of their parents and being allowed to act as fully formed, autonomous human beings with their own opinions and preferences. It took me way too long to figure this one out. I am still close with my family, but it took me a long while to realize how cultish my upbringing was at times. Humility. It amazes me seeing someone's parents actually being interested in what their kids have to say. My GFS parents are always so fascinated by what their kids have to say and are interested in. Always down to explore a concept or watch a weird movie. My parents barely gave me the time of day and dismissed anything I said as not interesting or worth their consideration. It also amazes me when someone can have a political disagreement with their parents and not be disowned. No yelling. Actually going to each other for support. In toxic families, everything has strings attached. Everything. That hug you got from mom? She gives you so much affection, why don't you love her back? Presents? All we got for you and you're still ungrateful. I am finally in a place where I can give and receive love without it having some kind of condition attached. And it's taken me a while, but it feels a lot better. My family is small, but it's mine. Crying. Crying is normal, it's an appropriate response to a lot of things, but when you have a toxic family, you get put down for your feelings. You get called a crybaby and people treat you like you're a child, as to a healthy family would. Support you and acknowledge you in a good way, not make you feel stupid about it. Wouldn't have to run to the bathroom and hide every time my feelings got hurt or I felt insecure and needed to cry if I had just grown up to know that those are normal reactions and feelings. But when people realize what I did, I feel guilty that I cried and put them off because of it. Being able to have your mom call you and not thinking, fucking great. I don't want to deal with her shit right now. Supporting each other. Communication. Anytime I try to sit down and try to talk to my mother when we have a disagreement. As soon as I don't yell and say, what? Let's take a minute and then come back. I seem to have made you feel upset. And I am feeling upset right now too. I want to figure this out together. Her reply is, don't give me your psychologist shit. I just want to talk instead of yelling, fuck you, alright, I'ma hang up now. Doing things for the sole purpose of making the other person happy. Privacy. The ability to say I am mad at you and here is why, and then to discuss it. Honest communication. When all these replies are the opposite of your family. Children allowed to openly talk about feelings. Cry. Have bad days and voice their opinions without consequences. Wanting to spend time together just for the sake of seeing each other. As an adult, my parents never invite me over unless they want something from me. Receiving help financially, gifts, money, etc. Source. My life experience. Eating at the dinner table without it turning into a fight, argument. Kids kissing, hugging relatives. Voluntarily edited BCI. Read the title wrong. BTW. My toxic family has always thought that conversations about mental health and emotions were not necessary. Complimenting each other. In my family we do it all the time and mean it in a loving way. I was talking to my close friend about his family and he said everyone is jealous and comparing what they have to each other. He said if he compliments them, family members, or anything they have, they automatically assume you're being sarcastic, fake, and take it negatively. Not needing to ask if they can eat. Even when I owned my own house with my ex, I asked her if I could eat something that I bought. I used to get yelled at or smacked for eating something because I wasn't allowed. Talking out their problems instead of sweeping it under the rug. Not threatened by another family member's accomplishments or achievements. Not using each other just for money or selfish gain. Not triangulating or ganging up to scapegoat someone. My family was very affectionate. Child and parent hugging and kissing on lips was normal. Helping each other. My wife's family does unconditionally. And it still confuses me to this day. Hugging and kissing on the cheek is also something that I was confused about with other people's families growing up as well. Comfort. Respect for boundaries. Mutual respect for each other's opinions whether we agree or not. Respect for each other's past experiences. Healthy. Non-confrontational or accusatory communication. Forgiveness. Affection. Expressions of love without weaponization. Encouragement. Kindness and emotional availability and generosity. Refusal to gaslight. Harmony and balance in the home. Zero abuse. Willingness to listen. Encouragement of happiness, joy, and positive mental health. Refusal to participate in drama or chaos. No substance abuse. No unnecessary risk-taking. Loyalty to the family unit and to each other. Talk instead of screaming. Mutual respect. Privacy. Viewing others with their successes instead of physical flaws. Not abandoning your kids in foreign countries because your sister had an adult tantrum. Because your son only asked her to stop screaming in his ear. I will never forget that. Mom. Need for alone time and space. Being allowed to get therapy. My dad says it's selfish and I should be ashamed just for asking. Everyone who isn't related to me isn't just happy I'm trying, but really hate my dad for that. Affection between parents or just acceptance towards love. I never saw my parents being affectionate at all. I was never allowed to date or ever bring anyone home to bring my parents. Even friends. As a girl in my 20s who wants to get married one day, I can't even imagine them watch me kiss someone or meet someone I am dating, married to. It feels wrong. I don't even want to invite them to my future wedding. Versus a healthy family like my friends where they bring their partners over for dinner and they are accepting and root for the couple. Talking about feelings. Being kind even when you're upset. Not using your family like an emotional punching bag. Because, you know, if you can't be real with your family, then who can you be real with? Not having to walk on eggshells and be careful of every single word that comes out of your mouth. Telling each other I love you and hugging. I am 36 and still don't like to be hugged, and it is taking years of therapy to start to open up about my emotions without feeling embarrassed or ashamed. Loving each other and liking each other. The decency of leaving your kids out of your petty fights. I've been my parents' standby judge and jury every time one of them did one thing that slightly annoyed the other for as long as I can remember, and when I'd confront them they would start fighting about which one of them is to blame and then ask me for the final verdict. Accountability when promises are made. So actually doing something they say they'll do. Not just saying it to get them off their back. Speaking directly to someone about your concerns instead of triangulating. For those unfamiliar with triangulation. Sam. I'm afraid that Martha might be mad at me. Have you heard anything from her? Well, Alex. This is all hearsay. But I did hear that she may have been frustrated about what you said about the mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving. I knew it. She never said anything. I'm so glad I asked you. Sam. I can't believe her. So are you going to talk to her? No. I wouldn't dare. Could you just let her know that I'm not upset with her? Just smooth it out. I guess I can pass the message along. Thanks. Sam. You're a dear. Mutual respect between parent and child. Actual interest in one another's lives that isn't a way to get information for manipulation. A pretext to telling you what to do. Or just a functional obligation to make small talk. Genuinely enjoying each other's company more often than not. A lot of toxic families know the first steps to acting right, i.e. checking in on each other, but they don't understand the normal reasoning or follow through of it all. Care about your mental health. Actually having a healthy relationship with your parents where you can go to them for anything and openly talk with them about stuff in your life without judgment. Also respecting boundaries. Respecting each other and their children as people and not tools, servants, burdens. Celebrating each other's achievements instead of finding a way to make them seem unimportant, silly or negative. Telling each other about their problems and feelings and not later bringing up what was said as a weapon against each other. Not using basic needs such as food, clothes, and shelter as a way to guilt-trip their children into being compliant. Not using things people love, including other people, as a bargaining chip that will be taken away from someone not being compliant. Respecting each other's bodily autonomy. Being a parent does not grant free rein to their child's body, visually and physically, nor does it make parading around naked appropriate. Treating children equally. Instead of having one take abuse from the family because they are more mature, or know better, while the other is coddled and allowed to get away with murder. Think I will stop here lol. Saying sorry and thank you. Hugging. I grew up in an emotionally and sexually abusive home. And literally any time I was hugged was for either manipulative or gross reasons. Going to my friends' homes and seeing them hug their teenage children was literally shocking to me. Like I could feel my body freeze up and the adrenaline start to pump. Over the years I've gotten more used to seeing physical affection between my guy friends and their kids. But a part of my brain still inwardly cringes. I always thought it was very strange that siblings in other families got along and even acted like friends. We were always at each other's throats. I never grew up close with them. And I haven't spoken to any of them in years. I also remember whenever I was at a friend's house, I never wanted to go home. I was always sad at home. It never really felt like home. Truth be told, I don't really know what it's like to feel like you're somewhere you belong. The strangest thing to me was how other kids were allowed to argue with their parents. Not verbal fights or anything, but were allowed to push back and explain themselves. If I was in trouble, I was in trouble. I wasn't allowed to defend myself. Even when it wasn't my fault, I got blamed for a lot. I wasn't even allowed to be upset or frustrated. Toxic home led to toxic relationships. I look at families and sometimes I cry because I'll never have anything like that. It's not that I don't see it happening, which I don't. It's that I'm better off alone. It hurts far less than actually trusting people. Allowing children to be themselves and choosing what extracurricular activities they want, how they dress, their own interests and hobbies and whatnot. I have a friend who states, I'm not raising children. I'm raising future adults. They are allowed to be who they want to be so long as they also learn the responsibilities that go along with it. And frankly, I think that's such a solid way to raise kids. Does telling your mother something during a traumatic experience and telling her not to tell anyone in the family count as toxic if she tells everyone in the family? They all come to support you in this traumatic experience but make it worse cause they weren't supposed to be there or no. Lifting one another up. Volunteering to help. Not seeing one family member's success as a zero-sum game. I remember when I was in my early 20s, having a conversation with a workmate who was talking about his daughters. He said that he could tease and mess with one and she'd find it funny. But the other one gets upset so I don't do it to her. That wasn't a light bulb moment for me. It was a supernova moment. My father would needle and tease and joke, and never seemed to be content until I would collapse into a screaming heap. Until I heard my workmate say that. I thought it was a normal thing all fathers did. So I guess my answer is, not verbally tormenting a kid until they are crying hysterically, would be my answer. Took me a long time to get to a point where I could tell my father to STFU. Or simply freeze him out of the conversation if he tries it. I absolutely do not tolerate him doing it to any of my nieces and nephews though, and have pulled him up on it more than once. No punching down. Abusive families generally think that it's okay to pick on younger folks just because Subscribe for more content.